To be honest, I don't know how to charge this without shooting it.
And I fell. Bounties. But he's dead for right now, so he's gonna leave us alone now.
I will if I kill you, it's not my fault.
I don't believe that for a minute. Oh, my armistice zone privileges are revoked. No, it looked like I got hit by my own ship when I was getting out of the seat. There's another NPC. Yep, he's dead. Oh, no, he ran away. Oh, probably good if I put the camera on.
Eh.
No. Yeah, it helps if I put a camera on. So, welcome everybody to State of the Verse. Of course, this is the weekly news and information program in which we go over all the latest and greatest news in the Star Citizen universe. And of course, this week is no different. Actually, we just have a little bit of the normal stuff: Star Citizen Live, Inside Star Citizen, Roadmap Roundup, current events and offers, as well as just our own take on things, including a little bit of post Xenothreat discussion and everything. Of course, Bailey and Baxter are back in the corner as usual. And as usual, also joined by Jay Skell, who is here with us as co-host. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Not too bad. It seems that we've been infiltrated by an animated life form, also known as H3D, who joins us very frequently here on the show. And you're looking a little different there, buddy.
Yep, it's my new spacesuit. Hello, Internet.
I think maybe I've been wearing the bear helmets too much and it's rubbing off on them. Hopefully not too bad though. So, okay, lots of different stuff to go over. Of course, we're on the live patch 316.17939.065. And this week, actually, it was on the 17th, we started a free fly. And we all know, actually, I'd say we all know how free flies go, but actually the last few have been extremely good. Hasn't been a lot of things tied up with lag or lack of performance or anything like that. And actually this one seems to be going good, but actually H3, you were on last night with me when somebody pointed out that we're seeing an increase of rescue beacons.
Yes, that was kind of funny.
So there's definitely an increase in the number of rescue beacons going across the screen, which I'm assuming is all those new people learning about the medical gameplay that is new to Star Citizen. I would imagine some of these people doing the free fly, bounce from free fly to free fly and do it multiple times. But yeah, and so much so that we may even take some time on Sunday stream to go and actually maybe play some medical gameplay in rescuing some of the new people out there. So they may need a little help there. And of course, Amrock's Fang is all about helping out new people out there. But it is currently running through the end of February. It's a time when all non-citizens get to get in for no charge fly available any of the ships that they're providing, which actually on this free fly, they're providing the Aurora MR, the Consolidate Outland Nomad, the Origin 100i, the Drake Cutlass Black, and the Mist Prospector. And yes, we have the right to bear arms, or I guess H3 has the right to have bear arms. It makes for a good time for him to hug himself. So with the free fly ships, there's also actually to get the free fly ships, anybody who's currently a citizen can also get these ships if they don't already have them by going to the free fly page, at which it's going to give you a code, get into the verse, and you enter that in while you're logged into the RSI site, and you'll get access to all 5 of those ships for the duration of the free fly as well. So you're not left out of the fun just because you're already in the game. And definitely the Prospector, the Cutlass Black, if you don't have those, are great things to grab. Though the Prospector and the Cutlass Black and any of these ships, I don't believe you're going to be able to change components on them because it is a free fly ship and it's kind of like the rentables. So you may not be able to modify them very heavily. So just be aware of that. Of course, free flies happen throughout the entire year. This is just the one during this time. I think the next one we'll see is probably going to be Invictus, I would think, at this point. So it always brings in another thing that a lot of people enjoy, and that is the discounted starter packs. We got the Aurora MR for $40 US, which is $5 off. The Origin 100i is $45, and that's actually $20 off the normal price, which actually is a pretty good deal. And then, of course, we have the Consolidated Outland Nomad, which is $71 US, which is, again, a good deal, $24 off of that. Drake Cutlass Black is 103, which is a little bit less of a good deal. It's $12 off, which, almost pretty much the cost of the Cutlass, but instead you get the Cutlass and the game pack. And of course, there's no starter pack for the Mist Prospector, which, I can understand that. They've never had one, which I'm surprised they really haven't included one for the Prospector at some point. But keep in mind that all these discounted packs, they don't include Squadron 42. So if you want that Squadron 42, you either got to buy one of the packs that include it, or you have to get it separately, which obviously we know we have time. There's no rush to get Squadron 42 right now because we're still probably at least a few years away from it being released. So no rush to really worry about that. Take advantage of the low cost on the ones that don't include it, and that way you can get into it now and enjoy the game. So with free flies, we also get the referral bonus, which right now it's not a ship or a land vehicle or anything like that. It's actually going to be the Queerness Tech Argonomex Lodestone Armor and Sniper Rifle set, which is the gold, cream, and white. Argonomex Armor, which is the Hurston Security Armor, and it's got the blue LEDs in the headpiece, and of course gives you the matching P6LR, which is actually a very popular sniper rifle within the game. And you get to keep that for as long as you play. It's yours. If you lose it in the game, you'll get it back with the next patch or a character reset, so it's not gone forever. And that referral bonus is actually running through the end of February as well. Now, to get that, you want to use the referral code that's on the bottom of your screen, or if you have a friend or family member that plays, use their referral code. And as soon as you purchase a $40 starter pack, it will give you that armor and sniper rifle, but also the person whose code you use will also get the armor and sniper rifle. If somebody's code gets used multiple times, they only get one. So if you give your whole family codes and they all sign up and it's your code, you're only going to get one set of armor. But definitely use that code if you're thinking about getting into the game or haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. Definitely always a nice thing when we can get freebies, that's for sure. Let's see. Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder there, gentlemen. We're down to the last couple of hours to get in the Coremore contest on Spectrum, which was complete the love letter. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, but yeah, that deadline is today, so make sure you get those in. Also, Jumptown 2 has returned. The dynamic event was first introduced in 3.16, and it started as of last night. And actually, at midnight last night, we got into one, and definitely very interesting. This time we ran into a little bit more resistance, and it was fun to do. I got sniped a couple times. I lost the 890 jump. I think I also lost another ship. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I died. So that's usually what happens. But it started last night, and then it's running throughout the course of the patch over the remainder of February there. We actually have a schedule. Now, with Jumptown, they're also bringing in Ninetales back, and the schedule will list both of those. And one thing that I actually like that they did with the schedule was there was a lot of concern that you always have those lead-up messages before the action starts on those. And actually, they've now changed it to where the times on the schedule are the times that the action starts. So if you're looking to get Ninetales and skip that hour-long pre-event broadcasting, you can actually just come in at the time that's on the schedule and it'll be time for it to kick up and launch into the action. So just keep that in mind. Of course, with Jumptown 2.0, we also get Gear Up for Jumptown, which is a limited sale on certain ships that will help you out in running Jumptown. And keep in mind, Jumptown, when it's running right now, is going to be running for 16 hours on most days, and a couple days it's going to run for 24. It does have legal and illegal sides that can both be played depending on where you take the items to sell. And it definitely has some great earning potential with the AUEC, so keep that in mind as long as you can get those packages delivered. Uh, Most of the time we did it, the first running, we had no opposition. We could just load up the ship, go and sell it, and we made a ton of money doing that. But Gear Up for Jumptown is a limited sales, and this is where they're offering the Mercury Star Runner for 260 US dollars, the Valkyrie for 375. You got the Asperia Prowler, which is one of their drop ships, at 440. The Vanguard Warden, which I'm surprised they did only the Warden. I almost assumed we would have seen the Harbinger and the Sentinel in there, or even the Hoplite, but that's the Warden's available for 260. You also got availability on the Nova Tonk at 120, the Ballista at 140, the Apoa Nox at 45, and of course the Ursa Rover at $50. And then they do have some ships also available that are always available. They never go on a limited sale basis. You got the Gladius, Anvil, Arrow, the Drake Cutlass Black. One thing I was surprised we didn't see a Spartan in there. I was pretty certain that if we saw the Ballista, we'd probably see the Spartan on there as well too.
I thought last time they did include the Spartan, and maybe it's just because it had just come out.
It's very possible because they did include both last time, but this time it's only the Ballista.
And I thought there were more Vanguards in there. I could have swore it was all but the Hoplite.
Yeah, that's what I remember too, and that's why I was surprised when we only saw the Warden. So,
Yeah.
but it's their sale. I guess they can call what they want to offer and what they don't want to offer. Of course, don't forget we do have the Nomad and Hover Quad combos are still available out there. $90 War Bond, $100 with store credit. You can also get the Hover Quad by itself, which actually, I'll be honest, and I've said it, $25 is a amazing price for a War Bond on that. I was expecting it to be higher. You can get it with store credit for $30. So those are still out there. And if you haven't tried the Hover Quad yet, don't knock it until you try it because it's actually a blast to jump on that thing and go. I had some people commenting that it's just a floating explosion waiting to happen, which tells me that they had a bad experience and didn't really give it a chance to really kind of get the feel for how it handles. I love that little quad though. It's a great little thing, and I've got a few that I've picked up also that will be given away over the course of the next few weeks and all that, so keep your eyes out for that. Ninetales, like I said, is going down. The lockdown event will also be running during the same time on that same schedule that you saw up there. And you're going to be able to deliver those packages. The illegal ones are going to go to Grim Hex, and the legal ones are going to go to Port Olisar. Of course, we did verify pricing is still the same. You're still getting 19,200 per package delivering to Olisar. A little bit less when you take it to Grim Hex and do the illegal side. But pretty much you're out there to protect the stations being locked down by the Ninetales insurgents. And you really have that choice of which side you want to play. And it's going to be running, like I said, opposite of Jumptown. So you can go from one event to the other one and really kind of, play two different things almost at the same time, just not quite. The event times, as I mentioned, listed are for the action to start. And there was one bit of spectrum, we'll just call it spectrum speak, that came up with Ninetales, and that was the complaints on the hours. Of course, everybody knows that when the first Ninetales and Jumptown ran, the complaint was that the hours were more conducive to US gameplay times, and the UK side or European side, the times were not very convenient to work schedules, availability, and all that. This time it's been swapped, which some people have been a bit upset about, but I can understand it. We got the convenient times the first time because I'm out here in the US. this time the European and UK and Meridian time zone, they get the more convenient times this time. I'm not sure why people are getting upset about it on Spectrum, because to me that sounds pretty fair. There's posts that I've seen that, oh no, you need to cater to the U.S. market because we're your biggest backers and the biggest spenders. And it's like, no, they don't. They gotta try to satisfy the entire world because the entire world plays their game. Of course, in the background, I'm just thinking Australia just gets kind of hosed. So, because they're all the way on the other side of everything. But yeah, it is going to be a little tighter for the U.S. schedule. But it's not going to be impossible. And we did get the preferential time zones the first time. Of course, we have our usual Amarok's Fang sponsor giveaways, which is the Avenger Titan Starter Pack with Squadron 42. You can get entered in for that by heading over to YouTube, subscribing, leave a comment on any video over there, or just follow here on Twitch, and you'll be automatically entered. If you do both, then you get 2 entries and double your chances, and everybody's entitled to the 2 entries. Also, keep an eye out if you are visiting the YouTube going further down the line here after March 1st. We're going to start implementing some YouTube specific and exclusive giveaways, just like what we've done here on Twitch. So definitely check out the videos to keep an eye out for those, and get your hands on whatever we decide to give on out, whether it be ships or other things, which I'll mention a couple things that are coming down the road here. Congratulations to Beads, who was the winner of our Nomad Starter Pack and Hover Quad combo on YouTube with our midweek update video. He was actually great to talk to, and hopefully he's enjoying those ships. I know that, in his comment, actually, he even stated he didn't have them and didn't have a chance to get them, and he won them, and now he's enjoying them. So congratulations to Beads, and thank you for all the support. But in regards to the Twitch exclusive, we do have the exclusive giveaway here on Twitch of the Gigabyte OC Vision RTX 3070 graphics card, which is my previous card. So it is technically pre-owned, works perfectly fine. I upgraded to a 3090. But once we draw that winner on March 1st, we're going to pick one of our Twitch viewers who follow or subscribe, either or, to send that out to, and hopefully get you a card. I know times are tough getting your hands on those right now, and definitely would like to see it go to one of you guys in a way to say thanks for all the support. So follow here or subscribe, and you're automatically entered in. Winner will be picked on March 1st. And in regards to the future exclusive giveaways on both YouTube and Twitch, we're going to have a variety of different things other than just ships. I definitely enjoy giving out the ships, but not everything can be ships. So I figured, why don't we give you some stuff that you can use with your ships? As of right now, I've got a T16000 Thrustmaster HOTUS system. I've got an X52 Logitech HOTUS system, Tobii eye tracker, and a Razer Nari ultimate wireless headset that I've ordered in to do for other giveaways here come down the line after March 1st. Of course, these are all things that I've used with the exception of the Thrustmaster, but the Tobii eye tracker is great for head tracking. The headset, I love my Nari Ultimates because it's got the haptic feedback, and it's very, very immersive. So definitely some great things to give away to you guys in the future. So keep an eye out here on Twitch and on YouTube, as some of those will be exclusive to the channel, and good luck in the future on any of those that you decide to enter into. So lots of good things to look forward to. What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Definitely sounds good.
I mean, definitely, if there's anything anybody can think of that you think would be a good prize outside of ships, shoot me an email, darkhourexperience@gmail.com. Whether it's maybe a keyboard or maybe a different HOTUS, or maybe just a single flight stick like the Logitech 3D Pro. Definitely I am open to recommendations and all that for different giveaways that will help you enjoy the verse and enjoy Star Citizen. So feel free to contact me anytime at that email address. So, Xenothreat. I know, Jasko, you didn't get a whole lot of opportunity to jump in and play a lot of it, not as much as some others. but it ended last week, and of course, it had a few bumps in the road as usual, um, to say the least. It's definitely oh, Pratchett wants more giveaways. Yes, I can do more hoodie giveaways. Those are actually going to be specific to the stream. So if you watch the stream on Wednesday or Sunday nights, I'll be giving away hoodies there. But yeah, Xenothreat had some issues, and you know what? Even with the issues that it had, I had a great time with it still because some of the changes they made were just phenomenal. Uh,
Agreed.
with adding to the gameplay, and you know, as Mando would put it, the chaos that would ensue with participating in it. We started out with the issues that you know, it wouldn't advance, it wouldn't go into phase three, it wouldn't you know, the javelin wouldn't go where it was supposed to go. Idris is not spawning in. We also had issues with missions not showing up, and having to jump servers multiple times before we found one that was actually working. Uh, they were able to work through the majority of those. And by the time everything was finished up, it seemed like most of them or all of them had actually already been worked out. And the one thing that just really just improved this was that whole aggression level was just amped up. And we went in thinking, oh, this is going to be the same old, and we found out very quickly it wasn't. But
I think I
oh,
think that though, for me, I played a few times with you guys, but then there were my schedule just didn't work, so I couldn't get on with you guys. But when I did get on, I kept getting on very low pop servers, and so I'd get on a server with like 9 people or 10 people where it was running, and a couple times I did try to go out and just dogfight some Xeno, but they would just completely swarm you, and it would just be 20 missiles at you, and
oh yeah, and I mean, on the last run, if it was a low population server where it was just like 10 or 12 of us and us only, we got through it no problem. But now getting on a low population server, there was no way we were getting through it until we got, you know, many more people on to keep things under control to be able to move
yeah,
things back and forth.
yeah,
Yeah, the capital ships were much more tough as well.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, they definitely got a buff, that's for sure. So
Yeah, and I think they removed the gate to get from phase two to phase three, because I was on a couple servers where it was low population for the start of it, and phase two failed because nobody was able to haul cargo,
yep.
and then everybody the server started to pile in, and people ganged up, and we went after the three Idrises.
Yeah, they definitely did remove the gate because before, like you mentioned, if you didn't get the cargo, you didn't advance to the next phase. This one actually, if I was talking to PV one night on Discord, and he even said that, you know, there were times when they knew they weren't going to do it, so they just let it fail and just moved straight into phase three. So they took that barrier away so that you could still participate in phase three even though you didn't finish the cargo.
Yeah,
Now, the one thing I will say uh, I was hoping that I'd see, but it didn't make it in this time, and maybe it'll make it in the next time, is the ability to play the Xenothreat side. We know
mm,
they're adding that to missions, and definitely not a bad thing for the people that want to do that, and it offers a little variety to keep things fresh. But you know, even without that, the changes they did made it a much better event for sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
And hopefully we'll maybe see that side put get put in to the next Xeno threat, which tends to be, it seems like they're really trying to run this quarterly.
Yeah, I think the only bug that really was annoying was the lag bug, which is an old bug.
Yep. Yeah, and that always seemed to happen in certain areas of the clouds around the Rex, where even on my 3090, there were times that it would go down to like 5 frames per second.
Hmm.
And I think at one point, didn't we find out that if you were in that area and if there was a wreck nearby, if you kill all the NPCs on the wreck, it helped clear it up?
Yeah, we think it's NPC related where one gets bugged and can't figure out how to move.
Yeah, because every time it was happening that we were had a presence on a starfarer nearby, there was always somebody getting phased into the wall or an NPC that couldn't operate properly.
Yeah, it was the time they spawned right on top of us with the Rex that suddenly got the lag, and it's like, okay, it's definitely tied to these.
Yeah. But yeah, even those short little times really didn't spoil the event for me, which was good.
Oh yeah, it's just got through it and kept going.
Yeah, and of course we all know, some of the items that people pointed out with the CDF armor and all that. But I mean, the CDF armor is a great kind of just prize for going through that. And I know there were some people that were disappointed that there was not a new prize, so that if you had already won it, that you could win something different, or people were upset that you couldn't win two sets of it. Um, I don't really, I'm not really hung up on that because I never touched the armor I won in the first place, so I never used the prize they gave us. I just wanted to play the event.
Yeah, I enjoy
Yeah.
the event. I don't really care about the armor.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's even still in my inventory. I know it's
I
in my
did
hangar, but
I did see some talk on Spectrum where a couple folks were wishing that they would expand kind of the area that Xenothreat is in, kind of have some attacks that are over by Crusader or Hurston, or rather than just keeping it in that same spot every time.
yeah, I guess I could understand that. Or, well, I mean, you're talking about rotate where they're coming in from.
I wasn't sure if they meant just to put them like scatter them around, or whether just have attacks happen during like the while it's going on. You know how like when you're doing the cargo, she'll Dooley will come on and say the Idris is popped near the javelin, so
Yeah.
we've got to split our forces and send some folks to protect the javelin.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I gathered was that they were thinking something like that. While we're in the middle of trying to run cargo or whatever, they pop up somewhere else and start attacking another part of the system.
Yeah, that would definitely make things more interesting. The one downfall to that is the quantum time to wherever you got to go to get there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, and if you think about it though, the where are the cargo ships coming from for the Javelin?
mhm.
Because there's really nothing for them to come in there. But eventually there will be a jump point somewhere near Microtech that takes you to Pyro. So it
Yep.
makes sense that that's where Xeno's coming from.
Yeah, because they are coming, because it's known in the lore they're coming from the pyro system, so that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. Gentlemen, do you get the armor set in your hangars? Yes. If you got into the tier 3 on the rep, you didn't have to max it out. You just had to get into tier 3. You will receive the CDF armor in your hangar for the flare for getting there. It can sometimes take up to a week or two before they start handing those out, much like what we saw with the best in show paints and jackets and things like that. It takes them a little time to get those all handed out and set up for distribution. So be patient. It will eventually show up in there for you. So, but overall, I think Xenothreat really, really was a success, I'd say, even with the bumps that they had. And if they're, obviously we saw Jumptown, we saw Ninetales, and we know that there are other events that they're working on. And it'd be nice to see that, they get to the point where obviously we know Ninetales is going to be one of those evergreen events that can get kicked off at any point and any time if the conditions are right on the server, which won't happen until server meshing. But those kinds of things being implemented so that you always have the possibility of being able to pick one of these things up at any time.
Hmm.
So, Rocks, what's going on? Good to see you. All right, so that brings us to our roadmap roundup, and not quite so salty this week. I'll let you take this one there, Jace. Oh,
um,
what H3? You're getting some love from Lori on
yeah,
the chat.
I was just gonna say.
Wave to
Hi,
your
Lori.
wave to your fans.
Roadmap roundup. So this week they actually published a companion guide for the progress tracker and release view, and it will continue. It's a what do they call it? Evergreen. They're going to continue to attach it to all of the roadmap roundups in the future. It just explains what the progress tracker is, what you're seeing on there. It explains the release view and what you're seeing on there, just to help people. I'll say not get confused and believe that there's promises, or just because on the progress tracker a ship is ending its time on the progress tracker doesn't mean it's done. So there's important things in there, I guess, to help folks just as reminders or to explain it to people who've never looked at it. Salvage Tier 0 card has been renamed to actually reflect what we're getting. Basically, I think it's hull stripping is what they renamed it to. And that's just because the focus will be hand tool and vulture based hull stripping for the first iteration of Salvage. And there was a note on a Reddit forum saying that Salvage is still on track for 318. Doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but it's promising that they're speaking favorably about it in the open, I guess.
It's on track. It hasn't suffered any major issues
Yeah.
yet.
Yep. So Vulture's coming. The following has been moved to committed in the release view for 317. Committed means it's past the far enough into the process where they're going to actually release it as part of the release, the patch. If it hasn't been committed, it means it's still in the works. Mining gadgets, ship-to-ship refueling, selling items to shops. Maybe I'll get rid of some of that armor in my inventory
Yeah.
instead of having 30 pages. Maria Pure of Heart Hospital on Lorville. I did check out the Area 18 hospital because I forgot that it was in 316. Coffee shop vendor, which everybody loves. DNA head textures update. There's no beards, even though in the video, both of the gentlemen were sporting beards that were talking about it.
Yeah, there's no bald either, and I'm still upset about that.
Yeah, I know. It's anyway. Keep in mind they say what is this? When they state 317 release, this can be 317 means 317, 317.1, 317.2 doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be 317. And then Space Station Clinic variations has been added to the release window for 317, and this is meant to basically give each of the space stations a unique layout, so it's even more confusing to get from point A to point B when you go there. That's just me. Progress tracker. Well, I mean, when they added the clinics, they started doing some of that stuff where they were updating the look and they're adding a little bit more industrial feel to certain stations. And I noticed that certain stations that I don't visit very often, I get turned around real quick. And so making them all unique is going to make it even better. Progress tracker. Zone handling implements backend solutions to help designers easily define which zone an object should spawn in, added to the editor's team schedule. Entities properties plugin. This is a major upgrade to the old way of handling the entities properties, added to the editor's team schedule. And some of these things are, was it the Star Citizen Live? They were talking about some tools some folks put in that makes their lives super easy to do, like mass changes,
Yep.
like populating shelves with props. Um, anyway, that's what this stuff is. Distortion propagation added to the weapon feature team schedule allows for further work on the damage type to allow correct propagation into systems, placing emphasis on where the shot hits, and powered items closer to the impact will suffer more. And that was another thing that I noticed in this Xeno. I don't know if it was in the last Xeno, but they tended to, I think H3, you mentioned it, they tended to take out your components. So your ship was still alive. You were just sitting there waiting to be blown up. And it wasn't necessarily distortion, but it was a change. Physics rope simulation has been added to the physics team and focuses on the use of support ropes interacting with pulleys and will lead to development of new gameplay mechanics. I assume they're going to implement that into like puzzles on outposts and things like that.
I would imagine so, and this one actually got some grief on Reddit. Well, many things get grief on Reddit, but this one actually, I got a notification on my Reddit about this one because people are questioning, do we really need a team to work on physics of what a rope will do? And it's being looked at in an oversimplified way. It's not just the fact that it's a rope. It's interaction with pulleys, interaction with different items, as well as that is going to lead to other mechanics down the line using those same physics as to how other items can interact with things. So it's a little more than just rope laying on the deck.
I better be able to shoot a rope that's attached to a pulley with something on it and watch a thing fall.
Oh, I just want to be able to carry around with a coiled up rope with a monkey's fist on the end of it, so that I can I can shimmy up the side of a wall or something.
It
Well,
needs a grenade attachment as well for you.
Hey, you know, I've used the rope throwing guns on ships before, and those things are a blast.
I was thinking the Pembroke armor that we got, the new
Yep. Oh,
updated.
the winch on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have a
Will,
winch on the front of the Pembroke.
will those work?
Mm.
You never noticed that,
Uh,
H3?
Yeah, I've noticed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, underground facilities, adding new facilities to the game, added to the location concept art team schedule. Um, more underground facilities. Let's do it. Satellites, points of interest, populate the verse with explorable satellites, locations that serve as points of interest for players added to the location concept art team schedule. I think there was a word jumble in there. Maybe some punctuation missed. Anyway, just adding some satellites for us to go explore.
I
Hopefully, they don't
don't
shoot
use
at us.
punctuation.
Oh, I just missed it. What? Looking forward to parasailing in space? Sorry, Mando. In
Oh,
chat.
looking forward to parasailing. Yeah. With the Pembroke armor with the winch on the front. Gentleman wants Spider-Man web shooters.
That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Rework of the Lorville cityscape has been added to the location concept arts team schedule. Room depressurization, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, this
The
is going to
ability
be a fun one.
yeah, it'll be a challenge now for the people that like to sneak aboard your ship. The ability for a player to increase or decrease atmospheric pressure within a defined space has been added to EU/PU gameplay features team schedule.
Yeah, it
Uh,
makes you wonder what's going to happen for the people that fly around in the Cuddy Black or the freelancer and all that, and open that back hangar ramp while they're flying around in space. Is this going to be included in this where now it will depressurize that cargo space and suck everybody out, or freeze them out, or rip all the oxygen away from them?
yeah. There's also like the 400i. You come up the stairs into that little
Yep.
chamber, but the door opens automatically, which
Mm-hmm.
vents the rest of the ship.
Yep.
Mhm.
Um, they're gonna have to fix those, or at least let us set them to button open instead of auto open. Anyway, cave archetypes, which we heard about on the last week's Star Citizen live, has been added to the planet content team schedule.
Yep.
The Tumbrel Ranger and the RSI Apollo have been added to the U.S. vehicle content team schedule as well. Did you want to take this last one?
Yeah, I can take that last one. Basically, with the last roadmap, somewhat controversial issues, we did find that there's more on the release view than what was expected. A lot of people were only anticipating we're going to get a coffee shop. And even if
Mhm.
there was only a coffee shop, there's a reason there's a coffee shop, and it leads into the AI and the ability for the AI to work properly, for testing and such. Plus, people who work on AI don't work on any of the other stuff that got canceled. But definitely the Apollo and the Tumbrel. I'm really excited about the Tumbrel Ranger because I have all three, and I can't wait to have my Bat Pod in game because I want to drive around in that TR just shooting everything up. That is for sure. But
I
the
just
Apollo is going to be a definite welcomed addition with the medical gameplay that's going on because we
yeah
all know how the medical works.
yeah
So
I definitely want to see the Apollo. I just the motorcycles. The thing that until they kind of do some stuff to clean up some of the collisions on the ground. I
mm-hmm.
mean, we run into things on the ground that with hover tech that's kind of like the gravel up bikes.
Yep.
Like, how's it going to work with wheels? I
Well,
feel like
they
you're going to
talked
blow up
about that. If you remember, they
fast.
talked about that last week with the plants that are taking out Nova Tonks because they see the collision box of a PTV. And
Yeah,
that is one thing that they do have on their list of things to be addressed. So that will eventually get revamped and reworked so that those collision boxes are more specific to whatever vehicle that you have. Because right now, a succulent should not be able to flip a Nova Tonk and destroy it.
yeah,
A cactus took out my 890 that one time we were on stream and killed everybody on board, which
yep,
should have just gotten squished.
yeah,
So, Lori, yeah, got a good point. The stations do have the force fields that hold in oxygen at the pad, so maybe we'll see something like that on the entryways and the entryways only, like the main entry. So definitely it'll be interesting to see what they come up with the depressurization. And gentlemen, yes, I would, and I'm sure H3 is having a wonderful cup of bear Java. But yeah, we'll be able to have some space Java soon. To speed up the effects of the torpedo burrito. What are the effects you're talking about? Eventually, we are going to have to use bathroom breaks, I would imagine.
Uh-huh.
If you have a torpedo burrito, is it going to make you play a mini game in the bathroom to make it happen that much quicker? What are you going to do on a Drake ship when you don't have a bathroom?
They got those cargo boxes.
It's a bucket in the corner of the Cuddy Black.
Yeah.
Just open the side door and stick your back end out and hope it doesn't hit the side of the ship.
Well, they have those for like campers and like long traveling. They have those cassette toilets, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get one of those out.
There you go. All right. Well, that is pretty much the roadmap. So actually, quite a bit more than what people thought. So definitely a lot of things to look forward to there, and a lot of new stuff showing up on the progress tracker. Space Bucket is the solution. So definitely, I'm glad to see what we've got on there. I think it's all good stuff, and the Apollo and the Tumbrel, like I said, is like some of my key things I've been waiting a long time for. Because I have the Apollo 2 and I have all the Rangers, and I've loved those Rangers since I saw them. And it screams Bat Pod, or some kind of 80s Saturday morning cartoon superhero bike or something like that. So I'm definitely waiting for those. Which leaves me with the lore update. And of course we know I'm not the lore person, but I actually read it this week.
You
Not
read
that
it
I
last week too.
Yeah, I read it last week too. But I think I paid a little bit more attention this week. Uh, very medieval. So the lore actually, I actually kind of enjoyed the lore this week. It had to do with the civilian defense force, the CDF, which is what Dooley's calling up when we go out and do Xenothreat, made up of all the Stanton citizens to provide security and forces to battle against threats that are threatening Stanton, like the Xenothreat. So the transmission begins. It's basically the thinkings of Parker Terrell, and it seems to really be written out in the form of an editorial, and addresses it kind of bounces. It starts at the addressing of the preservation of life and avoiding death and what concern it carries now that they have regen tech. And then it goes into a deep dive into conspiracy theories and all that. By the end, basically his disdain for large corporations that are taking advantage of the people of Stanton, because UEE technically is not contracted for the security of Stanton, and the four main corporations of Stanton use the CDF to provide that security. And the fact that the regen tech, and it's really, you got to read it because it's a weird road that it travels to go from talking about the regen tech, and he gets into what does death mean, how do you judge a person when they're willing to put their life on the line when there's actually no threat because they'll just be regenerated, and the effects that it has on things like sacrifices and martyrdom and things like that. And then from there it delves into the corporations taking advantage of the CDF, and utilizing them for unofficial security and to protect Stanton when they could pay for security to do it on a large scale through the UEE. Um, but really, what I found interesting was kind of like the points on the regen tech. Uh, it was interesting to see how it goes into a conspiracy theory about there, but it's written out kind of as a cliffhanger because he talks about talking to somebody next time that has proof of what he's talking about, and that's where they cut it off. It's a short 1 page read, so they can't really get into too much with what evidence and things like that he has. But according to him, he has people on the inside and evidence to prove it. But definitely, if you're into the lore, check this one out. I have a feeling this will be one that we'll probably see further entries down the line, whether it be next week or every other week. I have a feeling that there'll be something to continue on the story because they really did leave it off on a cliffhanger. But definitely very interesting, some of the questions that it asked about the availability of the regen tech, I thought.
and it followed. Well, it made a callback to a recent, actually the creation of the CDF, that
Mm-hmm.
lore post, because it called out the individuals by name.
Yep.
Um, but it also continued the theme of, I guess, society grappling with regen tech,
Mm-hmm.
because there's been a few lore posts now about the pros and cons of the regen and what does it actually mean, and
Yeah, and where it came from and all that.
yeah,
So it makes some good points. If death is no longer a threat that you have to worry about, really, what do your actions mean if you're making a sacrifice and that sacrifice is really not a sacrifice because, well, they're just going to revive you on a bed. So it's some interesting social kind of points of view on things like that. So,
hmm
and that brings us to our Inside Star Citizen. And I will let you take this one, J Skell, and definitely H3. Did you read the lore or?
I did not.
Okay.
it's his favorite thing.
But when you regen into a bear, people might start getting concerned.
Very true.
Hey, I will say this: your bear looks a lot better than my bear head does in game.
True.
I'm a little more friendlier.
You have a bow tie.
Yes, I'm fancy.
Okay.
All dressed up.
And we'll get into Inside Star Citizen.
Inside Star Citizen. AI on the move, head to head. Basically, this was a look. The first part was a look at the character creation options, the showing off the new DNA head textures. They showed how they were taking various heads and mixing and matching and trying to blend to create new faces, new features, and deeper level of customization um, for us with our characters. We can create our own little unique look, uh, but they still have ways to go.
They still
Uh,
need bald.
Facial hair, bald. They did say some stuff about hair, and that they still have work to do on the hair. Um, they talked about the moisture of the eyeball, the wetness.
Yeah, that
Um,
the video they had for that was interesting.
it was a little, it was a little creepy too, but
I was thinking the same thing.
it was part and part with the changing the lighting as well, because the lighting was a little harsh, and it does look a little bit better, I think. Not it's not, I guess it's just not one of those things I really care about, because we recreate our characters so often that I'm not spending days trying to like get the perfect look on my dude.
Yeah, I
Um,
I change hair and I change eyes and that's it.
that's the same thing. Um, anyway, so they're creating a wider range of heads and features, like I said, so that we can, make ourselves more unique, I guess, in the verse eventually. Improving the details and the resolution, so that you can see more, I guess, realistic looking details, better flesh tones, better skin textures. Um, we already talked about the wetness of the eyeball and the how they're working on the light. Um,
Yeah, the reaction of the surface of the skin to the light and everything.
yeah, they're making it softer, less harsh. Making all the features that interact with each other. Again, that's all the blending and kind of mixing things.
Yep. And there's our moist eyeball.
Yeah. And it was interesting when they were flipping through. They went from like a kind of like a skinny skull to a round skull, and it was kind of jarring when they were flipping through them. I was like, whoa. Um, anyway, this is all coming in 317. So when we get reset and we have to create new characters, it's up to you to, if you want to take some time and see if you can build yourself a more unique face, or
I
just
I will
change the hair
definitely
and eyes.
be doing that. I mean, it I like the character customization and creation, and when I first got into the game, there was bald. And then it went away because apparently it was a mistake. But some of the things that they were showing here, the level above what we have now, which I think what we have now is extremely good.
hmm
But the level that they're taking it to is definitely going to be interesting to see what people create with it.
Yeah, and there'll be more hairstyles as well.
Yeah,
It's they just didn't go too deep into the
but
what we
did
can do
they
with hair.
fix the problem where the hairstyle goes out the helmet?
No, and I noticed that a lot of things sometimes poke through different parts of the flights, the undersuits and armor and whatnot.
Yeah.
I did notice that you can no longer wear like glasses or the monocle or anything like that with the helmet. It
Oh
takes
yeah.
it hides them. It doesn't take them off because as soon as you take the helmet off, they're back.
Yep.
But they've done some things like that, and I think that's part of inventory. It's not so much part of this, but and then the last half of the Inside Star Citizen was planetary nav mesh, which I'm interested in because it will help bring things to life. And when you are landing certain places that you've not been, you do kind of have to look around, and or we will have to look around rather than just knowing that you're pretty much alone, and you can, if you don't see another ship, you can kind of wander without any fear of getting uh, assaulted by an NPC or another player.
Yep.
Um, Anyway, in the verse, they have numerous environments with very little AI, like I just said. They want to make the world more alive and reactive to the player. AI planet navigation mesh will introduce the ability to add AI and have them interactable with players on the areas outside cities. When they were doing this and they were showing the blue kind of overlay, the first thought I had was how much compute power and how much memory is that going to take to do like a planet? And they addressed it, and they basically said that they're only going to apply the nav mesh calculations and whatnot in an area where there's actually players, which is a theme that they're doing for a lot of things to cut down and save compute time, memory load, and all the other things.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. If there's nobody there to witness it, then why have it?
And interesting, and it looked like on the video that I got playing right now, if I'm not mistaken, that looked like they were applying it at the Javelin wreck,
Yeah, it
which
did.
we
It looked like the javelin wreck to me too.
that I will say, if we get NPCs that can be hostile and you end up having to take them out there, that is going to add a whole new reason to go to the Javelin wreck.
Yeah. Yep. And loot.
Yeah, no, hopefully they'll put loot in at that place, because
Yeah.
right now it's just a visual thing to go see. There's not much you can do there other than jump cyclones off of it.
Yeah. It's a tourist attraction. Um, they're currently in phase 0, which is engineering stage, where they're just trying to figure it all out. He did make a mention that he's hoping that they can get it in 318, 319.
See, now I heard that differently. Well, I interpret it differently. I interpret it as them saying that, it's being worked on, but there's no guarantee we're going to see it anytime soon in 318 or 319, and that's going to be
Mm,
further down the line. But
okay.
it's one of those things that's open to interpretation. But as with anything, even if they did say 318 or 319, you still got to take it with a grain of salt because you never know what could hold things up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No. Until we see it, it's not there. So I don't even think it's it. Well, we won't know until they populate 318 and 319 releases whether it's even something that they're going to talk about. And
Yeah.
Jared will probably talk about it some more anyway.
Yep.
Um, Uses the physics to create the map of in the area of the action. It allows AI to interact and introduce new gameplay to more areas. NPCs will eventually be able to follow you and work with you when you hire them. This will allow the environment. We can have our own team of red shirts. This will allow the environment to also interact with the AI fauna and obstacles. I don't know of any fauna that we have. No known release date. We just talked about that.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely found it very interesting because definitely we have obviously AI in the bunkers in certain areas and all that, but being able to experience it in other areas throughout the verse that, you know, it's going to introduce more immersive gameplay and more things to interact with and do. So I definitely see it as being a bonus, that's for sure. So I'll be excited to see that come in. So, all right.
Same.
And that brings us to Star Citizen Live. And basically, with Star Citizen Live, I only have really one thing to say about that, and that is pretty much going to be, if I can find the right button. That is not the right button. I'm going to
No.
have to bring it up manually. Hang on.
Yeah, you broke things.
Battle Trolley. All right. And actually, I owe J Scale because he pointed this one out to me because I was trying to pay attention to this while doing 10 other things, and I missed the invitation from Jared for people to reach out to John Crew about getting this into the game. Um, I, that was an invitation. It wasn't a declaration of war. But there were some definite points made by Jared that he knows that John Crew's Twitter notifications are turned on, and he checks them, and as Jared put it, 300 people like this, and he'll tell John Crew that if 300 people like this, it has to come in the game. So, don't think that this. I did tweet it too. But
Well,
I don't think we're gonna see this in game.
well, John Crew did. I follow his Twitter account, and he did tweet out like he's like, "What is this?" It was like 20 notifications. So people were doing it.
Oh yeah, yeah, I definitely did it, and it's definitely interesting on Reddit. This actually made it onto Reddit really quick, and somebody introduced it as the new Drake battle trolley, but there's not enough duct tape on it. And somebody actually role played as a Drake representative, saying that their standards of quality are actually much higher than this. Uh, so, yeah, the battle trolley lives. So basically, this Star Citizen Live was again one of their uh things where they go through and they create an item. And I think that right there made it tough for me to really kind of stick with it while I was trying to get other things done, and I missed out on the end with this. But they went through, they created the trolley. They started with a pallet jack, they created a pallet jack and a pallet and all that stuff, and then moved on from there. And this was what the final outcome was. Gentlemen, it's an Argo battle cargo that has lost some of its armor. There, there you go. It's not orange though. Um, let's see. So it opens up with what I call Scary Jared. Obviously, he's on the move between locations, LA to the UK. And he said he was calling in from the void, and it looked creepy. It really looked creepy, almost like a ransom video. So just take that with a grain of salt. He was joined by Lewis and Thomas from the props team, and again they spent the hour going through creating this trolley. And blue is much more camouflage than orange. What's going on, Skidmark? So they went through, and they actually, the funny thing is they referenced back to the cone numerous times. They brought up the cone. They referred to this as the cone 2.0. And I don't want to see cone 2.0, but that's the most popular and most well-designed cone in the entire verse. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go back to when last year's SCL that I can't remember how long it goes. The entire hour was spent designing a cone. So, but basically, it was a trolley for the pyro stations. Basically, my thoughts were that I was hoping that this is not going to become a murderous, inanimate object hell bent on death and destruction of every player, but apparently it is. So,
I thought
Well,
all carts were that way.
well, that's
well,
what I was thinking. I mean, what are those, size 3s or size 2s on that with some size 1 and 2 missiles?
well, when I don't know how much you watched of it, but at one point when he actually like finished putting it together, putting all of the pivot points and all the other things on there, the collision meshes and things, and he hit play, it fell over. Like the back end was too heavy, so it just flopped over. And then he eventually got it working right, and he hopped in and he was pushing it around. But he did say that when he was working on, I think it was one of the gurneys, um, he did all of his, he was assembling it and putting everything together, and when he was ready to test it out, as soon as he hit play, it launched itself into nowhere, like it just went away. So, so yeah, I have high hopes for this thing, and Jared was making jokes about it being able to lift above its weight class, and
Yeah.
they were joking about it being able to lift a reclaimer, and then they made more jokes about and threw shade at, I forgot the guy's name, about how the reclaimer couldn't climb out of atmosphere or out
Oh,
of gravity well.
oh
So
yeah. Yeah, no, we know the reclaimer isn't getting out of New Babbage in less than 45 minutes, so.
oh, it's just there were funny parts of it, but you've got to sit through it to get those funny parts.
Yeah, which if you're not into the design and all that, gets a little tough. I know H3, you do a lot of graphic stuff, so this is
Yes.
probably right up your alley. What are your thoughts on this? Can you picture yourself as a bear flying this thing?
Yes, absolutely. It needs bigger thrusters, though.
You can swap out those size 2 missile racks that it's got on there and put 8 more size 1s if you want.
Need some rail guns.
Yeah, I mean those gotta be like size 1s. Well, those gotta be size 1s or 2s. Laser repeaters, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I know what it needs. It needs a handbrake.
Well, I mean, right now it's got no steering wheel, no seat belt, no mode of flight and hovering. So it'll be interesting. I loved when they animated that too, and they had that smoke field in the background going across of it. Now,
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you just launch it out of a Caterpillar. There's a little launch system. You open up this little side doors on the pod, hit a button, and it just launches it into space. You just keep going until you run out of
See,
speed.
this is why the Caterpillar needs to be fully open without the doorways in between every section. You put this at the back of the ship, go full speed, and then hit the brakes and just watch the thing shoot out like a maglev bullet. Gentlemen, I'm not sure where you would put the fuzzy dice. Maybe in the gun barrel. That'd be about probably the most reasonable place to put it. So yeah, you definitely. I'm sorry I missed this one because I found out about it too late for me to go back and redo the clip of the Star Citizen Live. But I did go back and watch him talking about John Crew and everything. So and then I immediately got on Twitter and I tweeted it. So
Harassed him?
hey, at least it wasn't salt.
No. It's just a bold move on Jared's part.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if this turns into anything because I gotta imagine they probably. I mean, they seem like a fairly tight knit group, and it'll be really interesting to see if there's any retaliation on John Crew's part to get after Jared about this. And
It won't be as
it'll.
public though.
What's that?
I said it won't be as public though.
It may not be as public, or it could go the route of John Crew encourages people to jump onto the Twitch live stream for an SEL and bombard him with something that has nothing to do with the show. Everybody asks, when is this launching? That would probably drive him nuts because he just constantly says we are not answering when. But if John Crew tweets out everybody hit him up with when questions, he'll just be bombarded and won't have any questions to ask.
True.
So it could get interesting. So we'll have to keep our eye on this one. So, but that is about the news for Star Citizen Live, Inside Star Citizen, and the lore update and all that. But actually, H3, I screwed up because I should have had you on last week. Did you watch last week's SEO?
Yeah, I was on Twitch with you guys
All right, so
watching.
yeah, I know you were watching the podcast. I wasn't sure how much of it you caught, but you would have been the perfect person to be on that because honestly, it was like Spanish for me. What was your take on last week's SEO with the graphics team?
Oh, I've slept since then. You're gonna have to remind me.
Well, they were talking about the caves and the graphics, the CPU optimization or the CPU dependency versus the graphics dependency, and
Oh yeah.
such.
I don't know. It's hard to say. With the system I have now, I'm quite balanced between GPU and CPU. Obviously, other people are not. I've got a 16 core processor. Star Citizen eats up 8 cores.
Yeah.
So, yeah, moving some of that stuff off of the GPU is going to make it more performant because it's just better at it than your CPU is.
Yeah, and I remember them saying that there were some things they were asked about that was going to be dependent on the dependencies getting moved over to the GPU other than the CPU before they would be available.
I expect a lot of that will come in with the new graphics API.
Yeah, they got a lot into they touched base very shortly on Unreal 5 and talking about the lifespan of the system that they're using now, where they kind of made the point that, well, there is no end of life date. With IT, as far as like the hardware side, which I'm more in touch with, there's an end of life, and you
Hmm.
can run this system till a certain point, and then you need to replace your systems. But with the engine that they're using and all that, they talked about the longevity and that they can continue to develop updates and all that to keep it going.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they're gonna have to because things change,
Yeah.
hardware changes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely hardware changes and all that stuff. I'm pulling up my notes from it from last week.
Well, the CPU GPU thing was a question around trees. And are we ever gonna see like a densely populated forest or jungle?
Oh
And
yeah, and they mentioned that it had to be able to maintain that look from space as well as from surface side.
yeah, and that's they were waiting on that portion of the engine to be ported over to the GPU and not tax the CPU.
Yeah,
Assuming the game lives long enough, yes, that will be a thing.
yeah,
We are
and
getting closer and closer to engines that can do stuff like that.
yeah, and of course they talked about quicksand is a non-existent thing, and they also asked about when the Polaris is coming out, and all the content team could say is the what. They also talked a lot about the clouds.
Yep,
Because Microtech's got the new cloud system. There's still moons and all that are on the old cloud system and all that. And people were talking about the any work in the future for dynamic cloud and weather effects. And I'm not sure how in depth your graphical background goes or anything, but what is your take on the cloud system?
I think it looks awesome personally.
Yeah, I think it looks gorgeous.
We're limited by what our hardware can do performance wise. So, with what we've got right now, it looks great. So it's a little pixelated. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a little pixelated. Of course, a lot of the moons are still on the old cloud tech, which they admitted that there are some areas that still use the old cloud tech.
Hmm.
So, but they also brought up the point of if you're going to upgrade something, but if you upgrade it now, you're just going to upgrade it again within a short amount of time, then why bother doing the one upgrade? Just do the one versus two.
Agreed.
So, and then this one, I don't know if you know anything about this or if you were even aware of it, but Arcorp apparently uses a completely different engine, or not engine, but different setup than any of the other planets. And
Hmm.
they said that that's why the one reason they mess with Arcorp and it breaks.
Yeah, they're gonna have to rebuild it.
And I know nothing about graphic design or anything like that, but I mean, would that be because it's a non-organic area, or what causes them to have to create one planet different than all the others?
My guess it's the style of modeling they did for the planet itself and how they put it together.
Ah,
They probably found something better later down the road and with the newer planets, and they just haven't gone back.
okay. See, I don't
Um,
understand this stuff, and this is why I should have had you on last week.
yeah, I imagine they add features into the game engine specifically for some of these things, and so ArcCorp is on its own thing.
Yeah, because they said anytime they mess with it, it just breaks, so they don't mess with it. But eventually, they will get back to updating it at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
So
it's like a lot of the ships. They need a lot of updates, but they'll eventually get back around to them.
yeah. So thank you for bearing a backtrack on the last week's stuff there, because that graphic stuff. I mean, I know hardware and stuff like that for what I do for a living, but some of that graphic stuff just goes way over my head. I will not lie about that. So, but other than that, what's your guys' take on the current state of things? I know H3, you were on a little bit of time with Jumptown last night, and I know J-Skill, you get on when you have the opportunity to. Any concerns that you guys have right now as we go into the latter half of 3.16.1 before we start getting closer to 3.17?
No, I think right now is a really good time to get into the game. It is very smooth.
Yeah. it
Uh,
is.
we get a few 30Ks, but usually that puts us on a better server worth for mining, so we're not complaining.
Yeah. That was an interesting thing. And J-Scale H3 is now the new king of scouting.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I
Danger's
am
been
your.
replaced?
Danger has been replaced. I mean, he was finding groupings of 10 rocks
Whoa.
with multiples over 30 and
Jeez.
masses 6, 7, and 8,000. And
Wow.
I mean, he was just finding them one after another that the mining ships couldn't even keep up.
Yep.
And I blame the crab because he flies that Banu Defender around to do this, and I blame that thing because it's finding stuff I never imagined was possible. Cryogenics got on with us, and he said I spent all day flying around Lyria trying to find Quantanium, and I couldn't find anything, and then 5 minutes later, oh yeah, I got a 7,000 mass rock with 55% Quantanium over here. Come get it.
Nice. Very
It's
nice.
freaking unreal. Actually, I went and did a video today for, basically how we do our group mining and all that. And the fact that it takes away the waiting for rocks and you maximize your profit because you're never searching.
Yeah.
And it actually turns out to where the scout sits there and waits for somebody to be available because finding so many damn rocks out there that are just through the roof on mass and quantity.
Yeah,
Well,
you as a scout, you have to have a good book or a video set to watch while you're waiting.
well,
Well,
hopefully we'll get access to a refinery ship and we'll be able to start refining in the field, so there won't be as much waiting and much downtime till the
yeah,
refinery ship fills up.
yeah, because eventually we should see a refinery version of the Starfare coming out. And of course, we got the Orion, but the Orion I don't think is going to be able to go planet side. You're going to have to fly up to it.
Yeah. Well, and they said at CitizenCon they were working on a smaller refinery ship as well.
Yeah, that was another Miska small refinery ship.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that for sure. So, but thank you very much, guys. I appreciate all the work you put in, J Scale, and I appreciate H3, you and your bear persona gracing us with your presence. Next time maybe we can work in a pot of honey or maybe some clothes other than a bow tie. At least we didn't lower the camera any. You want to give a quick tour of your house?
Not right now. I lost my paws, so evidently I had too much coffee. So
Don't.
Not a problem, sir. And if anybody knows, that is humpback whales in the background flying by his window. Those are the space whales and space jellyfish out there. So definitely it introduces a new interesting flavor to the podcast. That's for sure. So thank you very much for bringing that to us. I greatly appreciate it because I love that.
yep, the
So.
Banyu's parked out there in the ocean. So
But thank you to everybody. I just want to remind you to follow here on Twitch and get your entries in for the RTX 3070 graphics card giveaway that will be given away on March 1st. Or you can follow or subscribe here. Also, don't forget about the combined giveaway, co-giveaway with YouTube of the Avenger Titan starter pack with Squadron 42. Follow here or head over to YouTube, subscribe, and leave a comment on any video over there. Get your entries in and we'll award that on March 1st. And keep an eye out for the future exclusive giveaways here on Twitch and on YouTube. We got HOTA systems, we got head trackers, we've got surround sound headsets, wireless, and definitely hit up that merch store or the Patreon if you want to help support the channel because this is what allows us to do these giveaways and be able to provide these things back to the community. And I want to thank you guys for everything and supporting us. And thank you, Jay Scale and H3, for the support and helping me out with the podcast. And everybody out there in Amarok Spang, I greatly appreciate it. Catch us every Wednesday and Sunday night at 7 p.m. for gameplay streaming. Actually, tonight, I'm actually going to play the closing credits, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it on the intermission screen as after I take care of the dogs, because of course Miss Bailey needs her nightly potty break. I'm actually going to jump on and I'll just stream it. I'm going to go out and do some more mining. Maybe we'll pick up a Jumptown if it launches or so and do some gameplay tonight. You guys are definitely welcome to join in if you like to, but I'll just need a 10-minute intermission to run Bailey and Baxter out. And thank you again for all the support, and we will see you guys soon.
Knows.
Oh yeah, I forgot to let him say toodles.